At 83, loneliness doesn't knock anymore. It doesn't ask permission. It sits beside you like it owns the place. And today, it's sitting beside me. When I was younger, I thought loneliness meant being alone for a moment. A bad weekend. A quiet phase. Something you could escape with noise, people, or ambition. I had no idea how wrong I was. At 83, loneliness isn't about empty rooms. It's about empty memories that no longer have witnesses. I wake up every morning before the sun rises. Not because I'm productive. Not because I'm disciplined. But because sleep doesn't stay with people who think too much. The house greets me with silence. A silence so deep I can hear my own breathing. And the clock on the wall, counting what little time I have left. There was a time when this house was loud. So loud that I used to complain about it. Laughter echoing through the hallway. Footsteps running across the floor. Voices calling my name. I thought it would never end. I truly believed people stayed forever. I believed love was automatic. I believed time was patient. No one told me time doesn't wait. It only moves forward. And it takes everything with it. I spent most of my life chasing things that don't sit with you when you're old. Money, status, being right, being admired by people who don't remember you later. I kept telling myself the same lie. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll call later. I'll fix this when things slow down. Things never slow down. They just disappear. Tomorrow is the most dangerous word a person can use. It sounds harmless, but it quietly steals your life. There were people who loved me deeply. Not perfectly, but honestly. I see their faces clearly even now. That's the cruel part of aging. Your memory keeps what your body can no longer reach. There was someone who wanted to grow old beside me. Someone who waited, and waited, and waited some more. I thought they would always be there. I thought love had infinite patience. Until one day, they stopped waiting. I wasn't present when I should have been. I chose work over conversations. I chose pride over peace. I chose being busy over being available. And now I sit here at 83 with all the time in the world. And no one to share it with. Birthdays don't feel special anymore. They arrive quietly. No phone ringing. No messages lighting up the screen. Just another reminder that the world learned how to live without me. People talk a lot about getting old. They talk about retirement. They talk about rest. They talk about freedom. They never talk about the silence. They don't tell you how silence gets louder every year. How it fills every corner of your life. How it forces you to remember things you try to forget. I pass mirrors now and barely recognize the person staring back. This body carries decades of memories and decades of mistakes. The pain in my bones is manageable. What hurts more is remembering moments I can never return to. I replay conversations in my head. Words I should have said. Apologies I delayed. Love I assumed was understood. Love is never understood unless you show it. And I showed it far too late. If I could go back, I wouldn't try to be more successful. I wouldn't work longer hours. I wouldn't prove myself to people who vanished anyway. I would sit longer at the table. I would listen without interrupting. I would hug without rushing. I would choose people over pride every single time. Because pride feels powerful when you're young, but it keeps you cold when you're old. Nights are the hardest part of being 83. Darkness invites memories without asking. Faces return. Voices come back. And regret doesn't scream. It whispers. softly, relentlessly. I used to think loneliness meant nobody loved you. Now I understand the truth. Loneliness means you didn't love back the right way, at the right time. If you're listening to this and you're young, or not even that young, please listen carefully. The calls you're postponing, the people you think will always be there, the apologies you're too proud to give, they don't wait. One day, you'll wake up and the room will be quiet. Not because it's peaceful, but because there's no one left to make noise. At 83, loneliness hits different. It doesn't scare you anymore. It settles in, and it stays. Don't let that be your ending. Love loudly. Be present. Forgive early. And never assume time is on your side. Because one day, you'll be sitting where I am now, and you'll understand exactly what I meant. And I hope, with everything I have left, that you never have to tell this story yourself. Sometimes I sit in this chair for hours, not doing anything, just listening to the house breathe, or maybe listening to myself realize how quiet a life can become. I look at old photographs and try to remember how it felt to be needed, to have someone call my name without thinking, to matter without having to prove anything. Back then, I thought those moments were ordinary. I didn't know they were sacred. You never know you're living the best days of your life while you're inside them. I used to rush through dinners, rush through conversations, rush through people, as if life itself were a task to complete. Now I would give anything to slow one moment down. Just one. To hear a familiar voice say my name again. To feel like I still belong somewhere. People don't disappear all at once. They fade slowly. First fewer calls, then fewer visits, until one day nothing. And the hardest truth is this: it wasn't the world that abandoned me. I slowly taught it how to live without me. At 83, you stop fearing death. What you fear is realizing you didn't truly live the way you should have. That you were present everywhere, except where it mattered most. If time could hear my regrets, it would be deaf by now. Because I repeat them every day. In silence. Alone. I don't want pity. I want understanding. I want you to learn from what I ignored. Because loneliness doesn't arrive suddenly. It's built quietly, one postponed moment at a time.